Hello, my name is Alec Toombs. I'm here with the Film Yap out of Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm here today with Anna Gutto, writer, producer, director of Paradise Highway, which releases in select theaters and on VOD beginning Friday, July 29th. The movie stars Juliette Binoche, Morgan Freeman, Frank Grillo, Cameron Monaghan, and Hala Finley. Anna, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Alec.
Okay. So between Kids Speak Up, a project for kids and families to join the anti-racism movement that you initiated in 2020, and Paradise Highway, a movie that directly addresses human and sex trafficking, you seem to be a socially conscious filmmaker. Why do you think that is? And do you think these impulses were the driving force behind this latest project?
I think we're all socially conscious people, you know, but it will be at different levels for each of us. But I think we all care about the communities that we grow up in. We care about the communities that surround us, and we care about people. And for some of us, that becomes just the closest family, and for some of us, it becomes like a bigger, larger issues. And yeah, it was definitely a big part of why I wanted to tell this story, because I find trafficking is an issue that most of us kind of don't want to talk about because it's very tough. It's kind of painful to talk about. We rather just kind of pretend that it doesn't exist, or at least that it doesn't exist in our neighborhood. And I wanted to tell a story that people want to see. I wanted to make a film that people want to see, so that they want to just become a little bit aware of, wow, it actually goes on in our own neighborhoods, you know, not just overseas or in other countries or with different kind of people, but that it happens with neighborhoods just like yours and mine. Sure.
You're a Norwegian filmmaker working in the United States. How do you think this colors your work differently than someone who grew up here in America?
Well, I have to say, though, a few things. First of all, I am also American now. I became a citizen.
Oh. Congratulations.
And thank you. So I'm technically and officially just as American as I am Norwegian, but I grew up in Norway, but I have actually been in your home state, and I've spent a year in Indiana. I was an exchange student in Indiana, in Greenwood, Indiana, when I was 16. I went to Greenwood High School, and I lived with the Lubyhusen family, nice. Joe and Jan Lubyhusen, and like my host sister was Amanda. So and then I spent 16 years in New York and 4 or 5 years in LA. So my whole sort of adult life, and also then, as you know, like some of my teenage years has been in the US. It's a big part of who I am. And but that said, yeah, I think there is something when you come from the outside, you notice things a little differently. Just like when you travel to a different country or even just a different town, like you notice things that people who are local there might not see. And that's always a strength as a storyteller. It's a strength to notice details. So if anything, I think it gives me a little bit of an edge, because it allows me to see the beauty and see the beauty in things that maybe you don't think are beautiful, sure. But that I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I experienced that a lot when coming to Mississippi filming, that there would be things that I really wanted to focus on and that I found beautiful, that people there were like, what? Like, why is that something? So it's, and the same with Indiana, actually, when I spent time there, sure. It was a formative time for me. It was very important.
That's very cool. Greenwood's only about half hour from my house. So
really? Awesome. Yeah, I went to Greenwood High School. So
very nice. You began your career in the theater. Do you prefer one medium to the other? And do you have intentions of returning to the stage?
I love the theater, and I started working as an actor first. And as an actor, theater was definitely the right medium for me. However, when I started directing more and more, because I always knew I would become a director when I grew up, as I used to say. But starting to direct, I realized that theater was not the right medium for me as a director. So that's when I went into film. And film, yeah, definitely is the right medium for me as a director. It's a more visual medium. You can control it more visually. And it's just how my brain works. So it's where I feel at home.
This is a very different role for the immensely talented Juliette Binoche. Was she originally who you envisioned in the role? And what was she like to work with?
Juliette Binoche is amazing to work with. She's just, she's an incredible actress, like you say. She's such a professional, and she's just a very, very generous and good human being. She, so when you say like, I never envision a specific actors in roles when I write them. I really write the character, and I get kind of invested into the character. When Juliette came in and the possibility of having her, it felt so right, because she has everything that this character needs on top of being a brilliant actress, of course. But she just has what this character needs of strength, vulnerability, toughness, generosity, warmth, all of it.
I thought the casting of her and Frank Grillo as siblings was really cool, because they actually kind of look like they could be related.
Yeah, they do. They do, actually. They really do.
Speaking of Grillo, I'm a big fan of his from work such as The Grey, The Purge Anarchy, and Election Year, and his TV series Kingdom. What was he like to work with, and how did he become attached to the project?
Frank became attached to the project after Juliette, and with all of these actors, I'm sure a big draw for them was to work with Juliette, because she's so amazing. But he was very attracted to the script and to the character, and Frank is himself. He is so much of how you know him from other movies, but this movie really brings him to a new place, and I think you'll really appreciate and love where it takes him. It's quite transformative.
I've seen the movie. It does
you have seen the movie?
Yeah, I was actually working on my review before jumping in.
Okay. So you have seen the movie, yeah. So yes, then I mean, it kind of brings him to a new, it brings him to some new places, which
his character is very layered, for sure.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the chemistry between Morgan Freeman and Cameron Monaghan. Can you speak to how these men built their on-screen rapport, and what were they like to work with?
Well, Cameron and Morgan are just awesome, and they were such a great team. I mean, I couldn't have asked for like a better. They were like my dream team for. They're both just. I think I was incredibly lucky. I just had. All of my actors were just really great and wonderful to work with. Cameron, I mean, Morgan, we all know he's a class act. He's a great actor. He's the kind of actor
like America's grandpa in a way.
Yeah, right? He is. And he's kind of been America's grandpa since he was like 40 years old. That's what's so bizarre at him. But now he really is. Now he's over 80. Right. And he's amazing. I mean, this man who was 84 years old when we were shooting. He's doing everything. If I could be anywhere close to that when I'm over 80, I'll be a very happy 80-year-old. But Morgan is the type of actor that when he comes into the scene just works. He makes every scene he works on work. So for me, as like a writer director, it's incredible to see, because you've written a scene and you have your thoughts, and I'm a person who really prepares, and as you know, I've done tons of research on this project, but he just makes the scene the best it can be, and Cameron as well. Cameron is obviously a lot younger, but has already been working for so many years, and you can tell he really knows his craft. And at the same time, Cameron is also, Cameron has like a lot more talent than what we've seen from him so far, I think. And I think he's gonna go on to do some really great work. I agree. I think so it was fun. I mean, we had fun working together, like with these two. And, I had this FBI consultant on the project, obviously, to make sure that everything was. And many of the lines that are in there are actually from my consultant, because he would read the scripts and we would talk for hours on the phone, and he would say sometimes he would say this kind of thing to a younger agent, or an older agent would have said this to me, and it was great to get that kind of specificity into it, because then when I was working with Cameron Morgan, they kind of knew that actually some of the lines that seem kind of silly actually came from a real place, you know?
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Very cool. I was really impressed with Hala Finley in the film. Due to the gritty nature of the material, she's tasked with doing and saying things we don't often see or hear child actors do on screen, such as inflicting violence upon others or swearing. How did you tackle these sensitive subjects with this precocious performer, and how did she become attached to the project?
We were working on the casting for Layla, for the girl, for over a year, actually. And there were many very, very talented young actresses. Hala stood out to me because she, on top of being, you know, she's very engaged in how she works on things, and she really just puts her heart and soul into what she goes into. But on top of that, she has an incredible imagination. So in kind of leading up to the shooting, I know she was doing research. Her mom, I've worked very closely both with her and her mom, of course, and her mother. But her mother also really let Hala work on it the way that she feels is right for her. So she would do a ton of research, but obviously there are certain materials that she wouldn't be watching and wouldn't be seeing.
Sure.
But she has this incredible imagination where she's able to really create the situation for herself. And she's such a pro but in her own process. And the way that I work, like, I always very much respect the process that each of the actors have, and especially with kids. Because some directors talk about with child actors that they find ways of manipulating to get the result they want. I don't do that. I don't believe in manipulating, especially not children, because especially in this type of character, it's so important that she is empowered in what she's doing. So she is the one who decides everything that she wants to do. And both me and Juliette would always check in with her, you know, are you okay? But it would always be her initiative. Everything she's doing in that film, and you've seen it, you know, some of the scenes, it's her initiative of how she's doing it. Sure. I'm not pushing her to anything. But obviously, you know, she says herself, it took a lot of work to kind of be ready for that. But she was very glad to do this character. It was important for her. She wanted to.
That's awesome that she engaged in at such a level, and great that you made and Juliette also provided her with a safe environment to express herself. So.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, I think with all actors, I mean, with everyone actually, feeling safe is the number one to do your best in every part of life, right? And especially if actors really need to be safe, and particularly the kids, it's our job to make sure they are safe.
Sure. This is a bit of a subject change here.
Yeah, go for it.
Dealing with some serious stuff. In addition to being about human trafficking, Paradise Highway is unabashedly a trucker flick. There's a long line of trucker flicks such as Duel, Smokey and the Bandit, Every Which Way But Loose, White Line Fever. I can keep going here. Convoy.
Watch them all.
Do you have a favorite trucker movie other than your own?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I have to admit, when I was a kid, my best friend's dad would watch Smokey and the Bandit all the time. So I think I fell in love kind of with seeing trucks already back then. Sure. I haven't actually mentioned this in a lot of interviews, but I think Smokey and the Bandit is at the root of partly at the root of making this movie. But I would say Duel. I think Duel is just it's so amazingly done on such like a simple way. Sure. It's So I think I'm going to have to say Duel.
Very cool. Well, Anna, I really appreciate your time today. The movie is Paradise Highway. It comes out Friday, July 29th. Again, it stars Juliette Binoche, Morgan Freeman, Frank Grillo, Cameron Monaghan, Hala. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just looking up to see if it's playing. It's not playing in Indiana. In the theaters, it's not playing in Indiana. Sure. But it's playing in Chicago at the Cinema Chatham. And I'm trying to look at which one's close. But yeah, it's and you're right. It is a trucker flick, actually. And that's let's not forget that. Like, it's a thrilling,
very serious issues, but it's also an entertaining genre film on top of it. So
it is. No, that was like, that's what I wanted to do. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Wonderful. I thank you for your time, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Alec.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.